Canada's accelerated trade diversification efforts were highlighted during Trade Minister Mary A's recent visit to the EU, where she reaffirmed Canada's commitment to reducing dependence on the United States amid rising trade tensions and recent US tariffs. Canada is actively expanding its global partnerships, particularly through CETA, with the EU, which has already increased trade by over 65% since its implementation. Minister A's discussions focused on critical minerals, energy, and technology exports, strengthening Canada's role as a key European supplier. Beyond Europe, Canada is shifting its energy exports to Asia, particularly Japan and China, to reduce reliance on the United States as its primary oil buyer. Historically, 97% of Canadian crude oil was exported to the US, but recent agreements with Japan and China signal a strategic move toward energy market diversification. At the same time, Canada is deepening trade ties with Indonesia, South Korea, and Indo-Pacific nations under CPTPP, securing access to high-growth economies. This diversification strategy not only shields Canada from potential future US tariffs, but also enhances economic resilience and global competitiveness. Minister A's EU visit highlights Canada's long-term commitment to strengthening international trade alliances and ensuring sustainable growth beyond its traditional reliance on the US-Canadian Trade Minister. Mary Yang recently visited Brussels to strengthen economic ties between Canada and the European Union, aiming to diversify Canada's trade partnerships beyond the United States. This initiative comes amid ongoing trade tensions with the US, including recent tariff threats. Since the provisional implementation of the Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement, CETA, in September 2017, trade between Canada and the European Union has experienced significant growth. Two-way merchandise trade reached a record high of $100 billion in 2021, marking a 33.7% increase from 2016 levels. This growth outpaced the overall 18.6% increase in Canadian merchandise trade during the same period. Canadian merchandise exports to the EU rose from $22.2 billion in 2016 to $32.5 billion in 2021, reflecting a 46.4% increase. Imports from the EU also saw a substantial rise, growing by 28.4% to $67.5 billion in 2021. The number of Canadian businesses exporting to the EU has also increased. Between 2016 and 2019, the number of Canadian firms exporting goods to the EU grew from 7,553 to 8,991, with small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, being the primary contributors to this growth. Despite these positive trends, there remains potential to further capitalize on CETA's provisions. The utilization rate of CTA preferences by Canadian exporters was 57% in 2020, indicating that a notable proportion of eligible exports did not claim preferential treatment. This suggests opportunities to enhance awareness and support for businesses. To fully benefit from the agreement, Minister Mary A has emphasized the importance of leveraging CETA to its fullest extent. In discussions with EU trade officials, she highlighted the need to assist Canadian businesses, particularly SMEs, in navigating export procedures and reducing bureaucratic hurdles. This approach aims to facilitate easier access to European markets and promote mutual economic growth. Recognizing that 98% of Canadian businesses are small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, Minister Mary Yang has emphasized the importance of supporting these companies in accessing international markets, particularly in Europe. To facilitate their entry into European markets, several initiatives have been implemented. Launched in 2016, the CanExport SMEs program provides financial assistance of up to 75,000 dollars to help small businesses explore new international markets. In response to the challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic, the program adapted to better support SMEs by focusing on key areas. It helped businesses develop and expand their e-commerce presence by covering costs associated with online sales, platforms, and digital strategy consulting. Additionally, it provided funding for attending virtual trade shows and other business-to-business events, ensuring that SMEs could maintain global connections despite travel restrictions. The program also assisted companies in navigating new COVID-19-related trade barriers, offering support for obtaining international market certifications and meeting evolving regulatory requirements. Through these targeted measures, CanExport SMEs aims to equip small businesses with the resources needed to succeed in a rapidly changing global trade environment. These measures are designed to help SMEs overcome bureaucratic hurdles and adapt to the evolving economic landscape. Evolving global trade in February 2024. During the 4th Joint Committee meeting of the Canada-EU Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement, CETA, Canada and the EU concluded negotiations on a text establishing rules to facilitate access for SMEs to investment dispute resolution under CETA. This development enhances SMEs' ability to participate in and benefit from opportunities created by CETA, providing them with a more straightforward mechanism to resolve investment-related disputes. Mutual Recognition Agreement for Professional Qualifications. Progress has been made toward adopting a mutual recognition agreement for professional architects between Canada and the EU. This agreement will facilitate the process of recognizing professional qualifications across both regions, benefiting professionals and small businesses by reducing bureaucratic obstacles and enabling easier access to European markets. Collaboration on Critical Minerals Canada and the European Union have been strengthening their collaboration on critical minerals essential for green technologies, such as electric vehicles and wind turbines, to support sustainable economic growth. This partnership aims to secure and diversify supply chains for these vital resources, reducing dependence on non-allied nations. In 2021, Canada and the EU established the Strategic Partnership on Raw Materials, focusing on enhancing the connection between Canadian and European raw material industries to create a more resilient and secure supply chain. They are also promoting joint research and development initiatives to advance extraction, processing, and recycling technologies for critical minerals, while upholding high ESG standards to ensure sustainable and responsible resource development. Canada's Critical Minerals Strategy Canada has identified 31 minerals as essential for transitioning to a green and digital economy, recognizing their crucial role in producing clean energy technologies, electric vehicle batteries, semiconductors, and other advanced industries. To secure its position as a global supplier of choice, the Canadian Critical Minerals Strategy, supported by nearly $4 billion in Budget 2022, outlines a comprehensive plan to develop, process, and export these resources while adhering to high environmental and social standards. A key focus of the strategy is sustainable mining practices, ensuring that extraction and processing methods minimize ecological impact. This includes stricter environmental regulations, advancements in recycling technologies to reduce reliance on raw material extraction, and the adoption of low-carbon mining processes, such as electrification of mining equipment and carbon capture initiatives. By prioritizing sustainability, Canada aims to position itself as a leading producer of responsibly sourced critical minerals, meeting growing global demand while maintaining strong environmental stewardship. Another critical aspect of the strategy is Indigenous engagement, recognizing that many of Canada's critical mineral deposits are located on or near Indigenous lands. The government is working closely with Indigenous communities to ensure they benefit from mining projects through revenue sharing agreements, job creation, and skills training programs. Additionally, projects are expected to uphold free, prior, and informed consent under the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, reinforcing ethical and equitable resource development. The strategy also highlights the economic growth potential of critical minerals, with projections indicating that the sector could generate thousands of new jobs and attract significant private and foreign investment. Regions rich in these minerals, such as Ontario, Quebec, British Columbia, and the Northwest Territories, are expected to see increased mining activity, leading to new infrastructure development and supply chain expansion. Furthermore, Canada is seeking to build stronger international partnerships, particularly with the European Union and the United States, to establish secure and diversified critical mineral supply chains that reduce dependence on adversarial nations. By investing in innovation, sustainability, and Indigenous partnerships, Canada aims to solidify its role as a reliable, ethical, and competitive supplier of critical minerals in the global market. The Canadian Critical Minerals Strategy not only supports the country's economic future, but also plays a vital role in advancing the global clean energy transition and digital transformation. Recent developments. During her visit to Brussels, Canadian Trade Minister Mary Ong met with EU Trade Commissioner Maroš Šefčovič to discuss further collaboration on critical minerals. Both parties acknowledged the importance of these minerals in manufacturing green technologies and emphasized the need to strengthen supply chains between Canada and the EU. Canada has been actively pursuing strategies to diversify its critical mineral trade relationships and addressing internal trade barriers to enhance economic resilience and reduce dependence on the United States. In 2018, Canada set an ambitious target to increase non-US exports by 50% by 2025. As of early 2025, the country is on track to meet or exceed this goal. This progress is evidenced by recent trade agreements with countries such as Indonesia and Ecuador, reflecting Canada's commitment to expanding its trade partnerships beyond North America. Additionally, Canada has been actively engaging with Southeast Asian nations, sending trade delegations to the region to explore and solidify new trade opportunities. These efforts are part of a broader strategy to diversify export markets and reduce economic reliance on the US, recognizing the economic impact of internal trade barriers. Minister of Transport and Internal Trade Anita Anand, along with provincial and territorial counterparts, has been discussing transformative actions to eliminate regulatory obstacles hindering the free movement of goods, services, and labour within Canada. The goal is to unlock new market opportunities, attract investment, and boost economic growth by fostering a more integrated national market. A significant majority of small businesses in Canada, 88%, believe that eliminating internal trade barriers should be a top priority for governments. These barriers often deter businesses from expanding into new domestic markets due to the complexity of navigating varying provincial regulations. In response, the federal government has outlined an ambitious strategy through the Federal Action Plan to strengthen internal trade. This plan emphasizes the critical importance of the free flow of goods, services, and labor in economic recovery, and aims to accelerate efforts to remove these barriers. Why is Canada accelerating trade with non-US partners? In late 2024, during a dinner at Mar-a-Lago, President-elect Donald Trump suggested to Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau that Canada should become the 51st US state, claiming that Canadians would benefit from lower taxes and better health care. The remark was initially met with nervous laughter. Following the meeting, Trump repeatedly referenced the idea publicly, including a December 10, 2024, Truth Social post, where he referred to Trudeau as Governor Justin Trudeau of the great state of Canada and expressed interest in further discussions on tariffs and trade. By December 18, 2024, he asserted that many Canadians supported annexation, though he provided no evidence. In early January 2025, Trump escalated his rhetoric by threatening a 25% tariff on all Canadian imports unless Canada improved border security. He questioned US financial support for Canada, stating, "We're subsidizing Canada for almost $300 billion. If we're going to subsidize them, let them become a state." Prime Minister Trudeau firmly rejected the notion of annexation on January 7, 2025, stating, "There isn't a snowball's chance in hell that Canada would become a part of the United States." Despite this, Trump persisted, claiming in a December 25, 2024, Christmas post that if Canada joined the US, its taxes would be reduced by more than 60%. Businesses would immediately double in size, and it would gain exceptional military protection. At a January 7, 2025, press conference, Trump ruled out military force, but advocated for economic force to pressure Canada, arguing that annexation would enhance national security and reduce US expenses on border protection. He later posted an image of the US flag over Canada, with a caption referencing Canada's national anthem. On February 1, 2025, Trump announced 25% tariffs on all Canadian goods, effective February 4, 2025. The next day, he reaffirmed his annexation stance on Truth Social, stating that Canada should become the cherished 51st state, promising no tariffs and military security if they did. In response, Canada retaliated with 25% tariffs on $155 billion worth of US imports. However, after discussions between Trudeau and Trump, both nations agreed to a 30-day pause on the enforcement of the tariffs. Why is the US interested in Canada? The United States has long relied on Canada's vast natural resources, but recent remarks by US President Donald Trump have raised concerns about how far that reliance might go.